what's like Otis Nixon, Otis Nixon is very much he has no problem holding back on saying that, hey, I was high on cocaine a lot of my baseball games. And then when you go back and you watch, yeah, I mean, I'm not knocking his. I mean, obviously he's got some natural talent, but you watch the way he plays and the way he moves and the way he's sitting there and the whole time is he's doing the gum thing. I'm like, I get it now. I see it now. Now I see it. But Otis number one.
Yeah, there's a lot of that shit in sports, man, especially in professional wrestling.
Oh yes. Oh yeah. I feel sorry for him.
Yeah, no,
Obviously,
me too, man. I mean, you see all those people that died. I mean, if you look at some of the ones even behind you, like all those figures,
Yep.
like even these people on these covers, they're all probably dead.
Yep.
Like most of them, anyway.
If not, then their lives have dramatically different than what they were or what they could have been due to injuries and just physical things that they go through for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean that's the thing. We talk about wrestling, going back and looking at all the wrestlers that have passed on, and it's not so much that I think they kind of get a bad stigma, like, oh, everybody was a pillhead, everybody was a drug addict. It's not so
Sure.
much that. It's like
Yeah.
literally you look at what they're going through and like as a profession, like you're
Sure.
getting paid to get the crap beat out of you
Yeah.
on a nightly basis.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
what you're doing. You are a stunt man, and I'm not negating pro wrestling, but physically that's what you're doing. You're taking falls. You're like, and that's what you're doing. That's your life. Um, so if that's all you're doing physically, you're gonna have to have something to help you. And it's unfortunate that at the time, a lot of these guys back in the day, a lot of people don't understand. Of course, they didn't have insurance. Independent wrestlers, they ain't got
Yeah,
insurance. No
no
insurance.
way.
You know,
And then nobody would take it anyway.
right, exactly. It's like, what do you do for a living?
There's only one. I think there's only one insurance company that does it anyway, and that's Lloyd's of London.
Lloyd's of London, and even
Yeah.
that's been exploited so much that they're kind of like,
Oh yeah.
you're
Oh yeah. I remember when Brett came back, back in like 2010.
Mhm.
Like he was trying to do a match or to try to get like in shape to do one, but I mean they put so much damn red tape around him. They're like, okay, if you take this one bump,
well, it's void,
you're done. We're not paying for nothing
Yeah.
again.
right?
Which
Rick-
I mean, I can't blame them.
No,
But
absolutely,
still,
that's a
so-
lot of money. Well,
But getting back to what you were saying though, there was no insurance companies
Right.
there.
So you're backstage and you got a gig and you got the show, you got to go, and if you don't make this show, you don't get paid. And if you don't get paid, bills don't get paid, and kids
Yep.
don't get fed, and
Sure.
that's it. So you have that split decision. Like, all right, well, I know I'm hurting, man, but I got to make this money. What do I do? Well, more times than not, you look to that guy next to you and go, hey man, you got anything to kind of help me out with some little bit of pain?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's just what you do, and that's unfortunately that's how it begins. But I'm glad it's progressed since then. I'm glad that companies now offer proper insurance and they offer the if you have any type of medical needs, they don't mind helping you out. Especially WWE. In some ways, though, it's kind of like when you hear like these people that have used thankfully
Like
they
the rehab things
again
like
and again,
Tammy
and
Sitch,
again.
and
Yeah,
like
man.
Scott Hall, unfortunately now. God rest his soul.
Absolutely, and
But,
that's
Yeah, I mean they use the rehab thing like 7 or 8 times or
it's a lot
something
of
like
money,
that.
dude.
Oh, I know. And then like people want to come after Vince, like who just made these people like chew up Vicodin and whatever the hell else it was that made him feel better. I'm like, no, that's not. It wasn't. He didn't make these people do it.
No, and
Now I could see the perspective of like, oh, this evil businessman. I see the perspective. I get the point that these people try to make, but at the end of the day, you make the decision.
yes, yeah,
I mean,
with
period.
anything, yeah, anything. That's right. Period.
And there's always a decision.
And I think too, if looking back on the history of the WWF, Vince bought the company from his father. Literally, it was $1 million, right? And it was bought it from his father and the two other co-owners, which was Gorilla Monsoon and Arnold Skaaland. The deal was put the down payment down. You make your payments, on time. If one payment's missed, we take all your money and we take it back. So and he was like 30 years old, and a lot of people don't realize that he was very young for his age to be as ambitious to say, you know what, not only do I want to take over my dad's company, but I want to take over the entire industry. I want to make it bigger. So he was much of a kid and growing up in the industry and learning as they went along, like throwing things against the wall to see what would stick, right? So you see him, he's in good shape. He works out still this day.
Yeah, he's
So
insane.
I feel like when all that stuff went down, like the steroids, I'm like you. I don't feel like Vince McMahon was going, all right, you need to take these steroids because take it,
XYZ.
take it.
Yeah.
I think everybody was so all together in that,
Yeah.
realizing that this is what we're promoting, this is what we're putting forth, that body image.
It's like a mass hypnosis type thing to where like, oh, I have to do this.
Right.
To where now no one's telling you to.
Right.
But that's what you think, be it with association.
Right. And at the time, it really, people forget that steroids didn't become as illegal or, to the point that they are today, until later than a lot of people think. Back in the early 80s, mid 80s, late 80s, they were prescribing it.
Oh, yeah.
That's what you do.
Absolutely.
That's what you do. Steroids, that's what a steroid does. It rebuilds muscle quickly. It gives you an opportunity to, refurbish what you lost. But again, yeah, if you can abuse it, and obviously you can see people go overboard with it,
Oh, no. Yeah. So. And so you hear all these people that complain about it. And usually it's a bunch of people who never really made it that far anyway that complain about it. And to be fair, it's all excuses.
Yes.
That's all it is. Like it.
Well, and I
hate to say it, but it's true.
It is. That's absolutely. And that's why I think watching wrestling progress from when the steroid trial came up, and then you saw that shift, to like the Bret Harts and the Shawn Michaels, and the more agile, not as big and bulky, right?
Man meat,
right? I think not only was it time, just because of obviously things that were going down health wise and people, kind of getting off the rails with this stuff. I mean, blown up. I mean, come on, dude, that's a little unnatural,
Oh yeah, Warrior.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, like
as much as I love the Warrior, but that's just,
it was stupid. I mean, that's why he looked different when he came back.
Right. Well, that's a different Warrior. He was dead. I mean, it's a whole other Warrior. We know that. Come on, man.
Of course, yeah. Excuse me.
Right, but I mean, it was. I thought that the natural evolution of it, I think, again, Vince McMahon being a smart businessman realized we're going to have to change things up, and it did. It shifted the whole dynamic of wrestling and what wrestling was. Monday Night Raw came along. There was no more Hulk Hogan's until WrestleMania 9. I just watched the podcast on that. I thought, man, that was a dirty thing to do, man.
Yeah, I know. Poor Hitman.
Right?
Like, dude. Hogan just comes back on in.
And then had to chalk it up, like watching, him going, go get him, go get him.
Man, yeah, I know. It's hard to watch knowing that, Brett never gets that SummerSlam match.
No. But I tell you what, I know you'd asked me to kind of come up with some of my top 3 to 5 matches.
Yeah.
One of those matches is definitely a Bret Hart match. And
okay.
True fans know the match, I think. If anyone's not seen the match, I would go watch this match. We'll get to the countdown shortly, but there's a Bret Hart match that for me is like the pinnacle of what a wrestling match should be, a story being told, and like just, it's one of my top 2. I won't tell you my top 1.
Oh yeah, okay, I got you.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. But yeah, I mean, speaking of which, I mean, let's get a question out of the way. Like, who is your favorite wrestler of all time?
Sting.
Nice.
Man called Sting. That's right.
Are you gonna be crying like I will, like Revolution 2024?
I will be saddened. But at the same time, I'm happy for the man. I really am. Yeah. I'm happy that he's able to come and go, and literally he's like, and not only because of he doesn't just show up and say, hey, Sting's here. I mean, he's involved. He's still wrestling. He's still in there taking bumps.
Did you see that match at Full Gear?
Yeah, dude. I mean, he's still
good. He's still got every single thing he ever had.
So I think him coming from his background, and if you look into Sting, he kid from Nebraska, Steve Borden, and he didn't grow up watching wrestling, wasn't a fan of wrestling, but a natural athlete, got into bodybuilding, moved out to California, and then all of a sudden comes to an opportunity to be a part of an ownership of a Gold's Gym, and then lo and behold, destiny, wrestlers start coming in and start talking, and All of a sudden they need a wrestler, and hey man, you look like you could be a wrestler. What do you think? You want to join this thing? Okay, we'll give it a go. And really wanting for him and Jim Hellwig, the Ultimate Warrior, it was like they truly thought that wrestling was just going to be, look at us, we're bodybuilders, got great bodies, easy money. We're gonna rule the world, right? So they sent the tapes out to Memphis or to around different promotions. Jerry Jarrett in Memphis said, "Come on down, we can put you to work." So they drove all the way from California to Memphis, Tennessee in Warrior's car. Got down there, ready to just make it big, living off $25-$50 a week.
Oh no, and a can of tuna.
Canned tuna, raw potatoes,
Yeah.
And just to see that's where that started as to what he is now, and is an icon. I mean, multiple world champion, multiple promotions, multiple decades, multiple variations of the character. I mean, he is. He's a legend. He's an icon.
Oh yeah.
So I'm very, very happy and proud that he's made it this far through everything he's gone through. At the same time, I've always got in the back of my mind, I'm like, maybe he's got one more left. It's almost like the Undertaker, dude. It's like the Undertaker.
Yeah, I mean, that's how good he is.
Yes, because you always think you still got something to tank.
Yeah.
Sting.
No, he's amazing, man. He really is. I love Sting to pieces, man. I really do. I'm gonna be so sad when that day comes.
It's definitely going to be an ending of an era for sure. For sure.
Yeah, because I mean, he's absolutely the last one left from when we were growing up, for damn sure.
He sure is. I didn't get a chance to actually, to meet him, but just I've always been enamored by Sting. First time I saw him when he came from, I never watched him. Well, I take that back. Some of my earliest wrestling memories was back in like '85, and I can remember this because it just these are things that stick out to me. Watching the WCW NWA on Black Saturday, all of a sudden you flip on the TV and there's Vince McMahon. And then you're watching matches that are nothing like you have seen in the Atlanta, Georgia area. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And you're like, what is this, man? I mean, at first, I'll be honest, I was kind of turned off by the WWF because I was born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia. It's NWA. It's wrestling. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's, blood and guts. I mean, that's just what we were raised on. So watching WWF, I was kind of like, it's a little bit more show.
Yeah.
A little more show, But I remember watching that era, watching it go from the Black Saturday, WWF, and then back to the NWA. And in between that, Bill Watts, UWF, had got an opportunity to get on a Sunday slot on TBS. That was the highest rated wrestling program of all of them, because Bill Watts, are you familiar with Mid-South?
Oh yeah.
Okay. I mean, that is about as real to real wrestling as you're gonna. I mean, like his whole thing was hey man, we're not putting on a show here. If you're out in the bar, if you're out in town, if you're whatever you're doing, if somebody comes up and they challenge you, if you lose that fight, you're fired. I mean, he was the real deal type guy, right?
Yeah.
So, and I watching that show, I thought, man, this is a little bit different. So that was the first time I saw Sting, though, because he came from Memphis with. They started out as Power Team USA and the Freedom Fighters, and it was Flash. It was Flash Borden and Jim Justice, and that was their names. And then all of a sudden, because they were so damn green, I mean, they literally have footage on the internet, and we're gonna have to look. I'm sure you can plug this in.
Oh yeah.
There's footage on the internet of these guys, their first matches, and you see this veteran come out that you don't know if. Is it a shoot? Meaning, is he really, cutting them down, or is this like a promo? Because this old veteran is telling them, hey, you guys look good, got great bodies, but you just suck in the ring. You are green as green can be. You suck. And we're out here trying to teach you stuff. You're not listening. You think you're better. Today, it'd just be like, but he says, all you're good for is get out here posing, sticking that needle in your booty. I'm going, what? And this is Phil Hickerson. So Phil Hickerson, an old Tennessee veteran. So they make that turn because they suck so badly. Like, there's no way you guys can be good guys. You suck too bad, man. So they go from being the Freedom Fighters to UWF. Bill Watts says, bring them out here. See if I can toughen them up. They're making the Blade Runners. So they answer to the Road Warriors. Makeup and everything. Sucked. Just totally sucked. To
Yeah,
the point,
I don't think I've ever seen a Blade Runners match, to be honest with
you're
you.
not really missing anything
I
other
was
than the
about to say,
mystique. You know, I
I've
mean,
seen
just
pictures of it.
yeah,
Like I know what it is. I know where they went to.
right. And
But
they were so bad that literally, I mean, the reason that they broke up was because Bill Watts basically attempted to make the Warrior get down on all fours, and he was going to show him how to take a working kick. Well, the gimmick is that it wasn't a working kick. He was basically going to kick the crap out of you, and I mean, just to show you, it's like a joke.
yeah, what you're supposed to do.
And Ultimate Warrior was like, if you want me on all fours, you're going to have to put me there.
Yeah.
And now, granted, Ultimate Warrior may not have been the baddest of folks out there, but that's a big dude.
Yeah,
that's a lot of mass.
You're gonna have a hard time to just
it ain't
wrestle him down.
right. So
that
they
might
ended up
not be worth your time.
Obviously it wasn't, because they split, and he, Warrior went down to Texas and started the Dingo Warrior. Yep. And then Sting basically stayed and went under the learning tree of Eddie Gilbert and Rick Steiner and Bill Watts, and he learned that craft. And when the UWF got bought out, all of a sudden on NWA TV on Saturday nights, I start seeing Sting, and I'm like, man, this is something else, because he's the blonde hair and the makeup and the loud, and man, this is yeah, I dig. So Sting, I mean, he had me right then. Well, and now looking back now, and God rest his soul to the Warrior. I mean, he changed. I mean, and again, matches, another one of those matches, but he changed definitely the presentation and the era. But no, he did not have the longevity as a man called Sting.
No. Not even close. Not even in the 90s. He was pretty much his run was done then.
Yep.
I mean, again, nothing to him, but
well, when you hold up your boss, for
I was
like
about to say
$500,000, it's probably
it was SummerSlam '91.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah. And that was the thing too, is like, if you read that letter, it's not like it's not like he was holding him up per se, but he was asking an exorbitant amount, saying basically, look, I want exactly what Hulk Hogan gets. That's the deal. If I don't get that, then I don't want to perform anymore. I'm not going to perform. The way it was took was, okay, well, if I don't pay you, you're not going to show up. He didn't say I'm going to show up. He just said that, I'm not going to perform as I had been, right? That was the downfall. I think, honestly, I think
so too.
Yeah, I think things like that. I think anytime you're doing business negotiations in anything, waiting to the last minute never works out. Ever. Especially on a big thing like that. That's something that that.
I mean, look at Montreal.
Right. Right.
And it's like, oh, I'm not doing that. Well, I'm not doing that. Okay, well, now it's like an hour from now, so we got to do something.
Do this, right?
And I love Brett, but damn, there's a lot of different ways that could have been worked out.
Absolutely.
The same with Warrior, though. I mean, like, the Warrior, if I'm not mistaken, I think he was champion at that time. Oh, no, not take that back. It would have been after WrestleMania 7.
Right.
So
it was him and Hogan versus Slaughter and Mustafa. And that was a SummerSlam, and he went in and said,
match made in heaven and hell.
Yeah. And that's the thing too, is from Vince's standpoint, he literally he tried to lay out and I'll tell anybody, as a in the entertainment industry, if somebody is willing to open up their books and show you how much money you make for them and lay it out to you, that's unheard of. That's just not how it's done. You know what I'm saying? I mean, everybody keeps their cards close to their chest. Vince McMahon literally, because Warrior's like, well, I was champion. I made this much money. I mean, I want to be considered as much as Hulk Hogan. Vince was trying to explain to him, you've only been in the company this long. You've only been champion this long. Do you really want to match numbers compared to Hulkamania going all the way back to 84? I can't do that. I can't.
The boom and everything.
That's not, And so it was a misunderstanding. That's all it is. And egos.
Oh yeah, that's a definite big
egos.
One. Especially, when Warrior would come back in 96 or so.
Yeah.
They bring him back for that. Like, he only wrestled, I think, like 3 or 4 times.
Yes.
And they wanted to. And have you heard about that interview, or his job interview? Technically, he went with a meeting with Jim Ross, Jim Cornette, and it was somebody else.
Yeah.
I can't remember, but oh my God, like, they were basically negotiating this deal, and he was like, all right, well, I have this word called distrucity.
Distrucity. Yes. Distrucity.
And I'm not going to sign, and I don't even know what the fuck it is.
Right, because that's what it is. It's just a made up.
It's just something.
Yeah.
and
true
you know
story.
he had like his whole little like work gym and that he wanted promoted all over WWF, and then they had to buy out like a $500,000 or something
Warrior
like
Wrestling
that.
School of comic books.
Comic
They
books,
bought
yeah,
it was
that's right.
it was $1 million.
Oh, really?
That's
Okay,
how much money we're playing with.
I
It
thought
was a
that.
million
Yeah.
dollars in comic books that they thought was going to sell.
Well, Warrior thought it was gonna
Yeah, I
sell.
mean it was, and boy, and that's one thing, that's one of like the running jokes. How many copies of those damn comic books are still sitting in the warehouse at WWE archives? I mean, just
They should
they're
just start
there,
mailing them out to people.
right? And but that's the beautiful thing. Okay, so here you go. There's a Vince
take
McMahon
one.
for you. I may lose money, because anybody be like, well, just get rid of them. Hell no. Hell no. That's too much money just sitting there. Some way, somehow, I'm going to find a way. Eventually, one day, I will make money off that. We ain't burning them. We ain't throwing away. We ain't
Yeah.
giving them away. Sit them there for a minute.
Yeah.
And there, because I guarantee you right now, if you'd have put, a bundle of Warrior comic books, somebody's buying them.
Of course. Yeah, especially now.
All right.
I mean, yeah, and they'll just be, but until then, I guess they'll sit next to the SmackDown fist.
Yes, man. Dude, nice. The SmackDown fist. Or
Yeah.
okay, so in that era, speaking about entrances, you remember the last WCW logo? How they had the
Oh, yeah.
it looked
Yeah.
like
It looks awful. I didn't like it at all.
it looked like a female's.
Yeah.
And that's
It
what they
really did.
called it, because when you saw it come on TV, you're just like,
Like,
yeah, man. Then they're trying to
didn't
be,
see-
oh, that's not what it is. I'm like, dude, that's what I'm seeing, man. And maybe that is my mind. Maybe that's just my being,
oh,
but
man, it's all
that's
those
what I
video
see, dude.
games, man. Tipper's right.
Corruptions.
Yeah. Dude, WCW, man. Wow.
Loved it. I loved it. Hated it. Frustrated me. I honestly, we all we as fans that watched that, you literally watched what to do in a span of 5 years.
No shit.
I mean, that fast.
Yeah, dude.
You saw the
from
rise.
the top to the very bottom of the barrel.
It was bad at them.
I mean, it wouldn't even like they went past the bottom.
Yes.
So bad, man. And people get a lot of blame on that one, like Eric Bischoff and Vince Russo and all of them. Which, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm sure they played their part and all of it. But I mean,
Yes.
that took the whole ship to fuck that one up.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but that's just the damn truth. I don't think a lot of people wanted to be there.
Nope.
You see people criticize the creative control that like Hogan or Nash or Hall
Right.
or whoever got the bigger names, and they didn't really have to do anything.
No, and that's a good point right there, because everybody gives Hogan so much crap for the creative control. All them big stars,
they
had
all
it, man.
did.
They all did. Scott Hall was a negotiating genius. He literally said favored nations, meaning that no problem. I'm gonna sign for this amount right here because this is what my amount is. Cool, because that's what I'm worth. If you sign anybody else and they make more than me, I want that as well.
Mhm.
So basically, he said, I'm gonna sign my deal, and here's my deal. When I bring my buddy Kevin over, and they worked this out. I mean, it was genius.
Mm-hmm.
Brought Kevin Nash over. Kevin Nash asked for more than Scott, and then automatically Scott said, "Well, if you're gonna give him that, you gotta give me that too, because that's my favored nation's contract."
Yeah,
I mean, there was nobody gonna make more money than Scott Hall. If you made it, so did he. That was in that contract. The creative control, like you said, got a little out of hand, man.
Yeah,
Because when you're an you're an entertainer, that's your job to entertain. You're not writing. I mean, you are a creative person, but you're not
in charge.
Right.
You don't get to say who wins.
Right. I'm an entertainer. I have a script. I have something to go by. I have, this is what this is what my character is being developed to do. Of course, you don't want to make mistakes with that character, and you should have some input. But to totally look at again, it's all like knowing your role, man.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, if you take on a movie role and you don't like the director where it's going, well, I mean, look at your contract again. Is the money worth it? Because you signed the contract.
Yeah. You stuck.
I mean, if you did you not read the contract? And so, but you're right about that. That some of that stuff, it got way out of hand. Way out of hand.
It did. I think I don't know. I don't know who else had it, but I mean, like pretty much
all the top guys.
the
man,
main event roster. Yeah. I mean, even though Brett, he's my favorite wrestler of all time, period. But he even had like the same contract as Hogan. He even has been famous for saying it. He's like, I want Hogan's contract plus $1.
There you go.
And they gave it to him.
Yep. I mean, and that's
And it's just like, well, and then, of course, he got a lot of them when WCW from like AOL or whatever for the rest of their contracts, and he was probably one of them.
He was. I mean,
because he got paid for 2.5 years for whatever.
And plus, I mean, that whole thing, Bret Hart, that was a big mishandling, in my opinion, of a career.
Yeah, you get the biggest superstar. Yeah, literally.
Handed to you right there. Of the biggest, one of the most controversial angles, right?
Yeah, probably the most controversial angle that will ever exist. Right. And you put him as a guest referee at Starrcade,
and a half-ass planned out main event.
I know
that was the whole Starrcade '97 was one of the biggest debacles in wrestling history.
I agree.
You spend an entire year and a half building a storyline. Fever pitch. We are ready for this, right? All right. So, and then the Survivor Series goes down. So now we got Bret Hart coming. Oh my God, this is it. WCW is about to take it on, man. We got it. And then.
No. He wouldn't even wrestle, I think, for like another 2 or 3 months. And then I think it was against Flair of all people.
And
which, it's a great match, but still,
that's more personal than anything as well, because that was one where, Ric Flair, when he lost the WWF Championship for that first time to Bret in Saskatchewan, it was simply because Vince McMahon told Ric Flair, hey, when you feel like you're not happy anymore, you want to move on, we're done, no problem. And that's what Ric Flair said. He said, I'm ready to go back home. I'm ready to go back down south. Been here for 2 years, been the champion, done this, done that. And even
I can't blame him.
Yeah, either. No. And even that, I mean, if you look at that whole setup, like everybody was anticipating the Flair Hogan. Yeah. That's what we wanted.
Oh yeah, WrestleMania. That's what we wanted,
man. He was there. You're on the, the Raw. You're showing the belt, the whole build up, and all of a sudden we don't get it. I think that right there took a lot of the wind out of Ric Flair's sail in the WWF. I think he did a great job, but I think by the time he was ready to go home, he had good reason to go home because I don't think he got what he was promised.
Yeah, so, no, I agree. Yeah. And with Flair, I mean, it's a good thing he did, man, because I mean, dude, Starrcade '93 was great. Super good.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, man, they followed him all the way from the house in the limo. That's right.
Yeah, he was hugging like
young Charlotte.
Young Charlotte,
man. And Reed, absolutely.
And everybody thought he was gonna die.
Yeah. Making him kill my daddy.
Like, damn it. That damn dirty Vader.
Busted that lip though. I remember that match because
it's time.
Yeah. Made a time. But time to wash your ring gear is what they say. He's one of the smelliest wrestlers ever.
I know.
Speaking of wrestling, so Demolition Axe, Team Demolition,
sure,
because he had evolved. He was the mass superstar back in the day, so he would always tours to Japan. Going to Japan, you get that famous steakhouse over there that all the wrestlers ate at, and they ate steaks. And he was a big shellfish eater, like shrimp and lobster and oysters, stuff like that. Well, you got iodine in that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so he ate so much of it that literally, I mean, it put him down. Like that's why he had to quit wrestling, because the iodine just built up in his body so much, and it affected his heart to where he was out to dinner, went out with his wife. They paid, they walked out, go to get in the taxi. He literally passes out on a little bitty old man. And that's the story he felt so bad about, because here's this big old wrestler. He hit the floor, and this old man's just underneath him going, help me, help. Damn it. But it's because he ate so much shellfish, and God, yeah.
That was it. Shellfish.
Yeah, man. But that's what I'm thinking to myself.
He's a big dude.
Right. That is
shit. And he's Smash, right? Barry Horowitz. Oh, Axe. Yeah. Okay.
Bill Eadie. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
But yeah, that's a lot of shellfish over the years, for sure.
It's a bunch.
But it's like eating a steak too. They got that big old steak. What was it? I'm gonna have to get corrected here. It starts with an R. Rubicon, I don't know, but they all have the jackets.
Yeah,
they got those classic jackets, So I'm sure that if you're a professional wrestler, you go over to Japan, you are eating good, and they pay you well too. I mean, that's like the old story about Stan Hansen goes to the AWA had no plans on being a world champion. They say want to put the belt on you. I said, cool, no problem. But at the same time, I've got this. I'm making big money in Japan. I mean, and I can't lose. I mean, that's the thing. I cannot lose on national TV. That's not happening because that's going to ruin my gig in Japan. And whatever I do, whatever your setup is, I've still got my dates that I'm going to Japan with. Well, Vern Gagne said, we're still going to put the belt on you. He said, okay. So put the belt on him, and then without any kind of consideration. And that's the thing that kind of got him too, is like, it was so wishy-washy. They put the belt on him. He did a few defenses. He goes to New Japan to do a tour. I say, okay, we're going to take the belt off of you. And it wasn't so much that they were taking the belt off him, it was the way they did it. And it was kind of like, it was
using you.
Yeah, it was bad. Yeah, it was bad. It was bad business. So what he did was he took the AWA title and he put it on the ground. He took his pickup truck and he backed over it. And so it went like this and it creased. And the original AWA title, and it had a big old tire mark on it, and he put it in the FedEx box and sent it back to the AWA like that. Yeah, because I mean, that again, the whole thing and that Japan thing, man. A lot of those wrestlers, dude, if you had deals in Japan, you were making bank.
Yeah,
I mean,
making way more than you are over here.
Yeah,
that's they were just going nuts over there.
Absolutely, those
paydays and all kinds of stuff.
And and that's the thing too, that I love the aspect of it. It's not that I'm a fan of exploitation, but I'm also like, hey, man, if that's what it's set up to be, let's go with it. You know what I'm saying? American wrestlers in Japan are gaijin. Yep. They're the bad guys. They're always the heel.
Yeah,
always.
Look at it over here.
Always.
Yeah.
So if you take a big-time professional wrestler from the States and you bring him over and he's taking on a national hero like Antonio Inoki, or Giant Baba, or any of those great, Jushin Liger, any of those Muta,
Oh yeah.
If you are facing any of these guys, you're a bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
You're losing, okay? And if you're winning, then the good thing about them is that's learning that business. If you're winning, that means you're coming back for a series of matches. Because there's no way in hell that the Gaijin's going to come over here and kick our native man's ass and just walk away. You're coming back.
Yeah.
That's just money.
Yep.
Money. And that's
all returns, man.
I respected the crap out of that. I was like, man, that's all it is, business,
Mm-hmm.
It ain't about ego at that point. Because Stan Hansen's like, I don't want to be champion. I don't give a crap about being champion. But you're not going to use me as a pawn, knowing that I do what I do as a craft to feed my family. You ain't going to jerk me around.
Yeah.
And so much respect for that.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty ballsy.
Yeah. And take your belts.
Yeah.
Take your belts
in pieces.
Well, same thing Rick, Flair did with the big gold belt.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because they owed him money on
$25,000.
Yeah, and they wanted it back.
Well, he said, "Cool, just pay me for it."
As Jim Hurd.
Yep.
Yeah.
Showed up and said, "I'm here to pick up the belt." He said, "Well, you got a check for $25,000. If not, it's my belt.
It's mine."
That's right. That's right. And that was a heck of a move.
It's gonna be in a figure 4 in the front yard real quick.
Let's do it. Won't be the first time or the last.
Yeah. I know, man. Dude, that guy. Yeah, because I don't blame Flair at all for that, though.
No.
The real world's champion angle.
Yeah.
It's always good.
Well, I mean, again, just bad business decisions, If you don't have a physical piece of your property, your gimmick, and you somebody does and you tell them they're fired, what?
Mm-hmm.
That's like firing somebody first thing Friday morning. You don't do that. You wait until the end of the day on Friday to make sure all the work's done, everything's collected, they're packed up, and they're out. You don't tell them, hey, welcome to work. You're fired, because then guess what? They're flipping shit. It's not gonna go as easy, man. Because I've had experiences like that too. Like at the end of the day, where I've been let go at the end of the day, and it's almost like by the time that the days run through, the weeks run through, it's at the end of the day I'm getting checked out, and they come to me with that final check. I'm like, okay, cool. Appreciate it. Because at that point I got my check. I'm going to the weekend. I'll figure this out,
Yeah.
Yeah, but that whole early in the morning, man, I'm pissed off because now wait a minute, man. What you mean? You done messed up my whole week? Yes, exactly. You couldn't have called me.
Yeah, I know. I didn't have to come in today. The hell's your problem, man?
There are priorities in life, y'all.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Right. It's called, I don't want to get up early.
No. If I ain't got to, wow, what are you doing?
But you do, I'm getting paid. for something. I don't know what, but it's something.
It's like people, I get asked all the time, not to get off the topic, but yes, like going out and hanging out in bars. Hey, man, you want to come out and hang out, this, that, have a drink, this, that, and other. Aside from everything else, no. Just simply because it's nothing personal. It's that I've spent so many hours of my life, nightlife wise, in nightclubs and bars and
For real.
I mean,
Yeah.
just seriously, and it's not me. It's not bragging about it. It's me being real. I'm 44 years old. I've been doing this since I was 14. I've spent so much time in it. When I say if I'm not being paid to be there, you probably won't see me there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just because, again, it's you do it things for so long. Same thing with wrestling, you know what I mean? Hey, man, once I'm done and I'm off the clock and my boots are off, I don't necessarily want to go watch a wrestling match and hang out and talk
Yeah.
wrestling. And,
I know.
and a lot of the wrestlers we've met, I'm sure the same thing. You realize that. Like,
Oh yeah.
the entertainment aspect is just that. Once that switch is off, they really want to just be either left alone or be real. If you walk up to one and the gimmick's still on, get away from. That gimmick's still on for a reason. They don't want anything to do with you. They don't want to mess with you. Just
Mm-hmm.
So I
Yeah, I can't blame them.
no, absolutely not, man.
I wouldn't want to
Absolutely
just sit there and chit chat wrestling 24/7.
Right, especially if that's what you do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I totally get it.
Well, it's like Ronnie Van Zant, from Leonard Skinner, that song "Don't Ask Me No Questions," right? That was the whole aspect of like, look, man, I do this for a living all the time. When I come home and I want to chill, if we want to go fishing, I don't want to spend 3 hours in the boat talking about what the hell I've been on the road doing. I want to fish, and that's a valid point in anything, So I've always respected anybody like that not compartmentalizes, but just can, okay, job's done.
Yeah, I get to go home now.
Man.
Chill.
Do your thing and chill, right? Exactly. If you want to come hang out with me, call me. I'm probably at the house, but I'm not one to come meet up and do the whole dinner and drinks thing, So.
No, yeah, dude, don't blame you.
No.
Yeah, man.
Learned that from Rockstar, man. What's that? The movie Bobby Beers?
Walt Marky Mark.
Yeah, because Bobby Beers says, nobody pulls off a show at my age half cocked. It's in bed 11 o'clock before the next show. I love that.
Still Dragon. Right. Yeah, dude. That's some real shit right there. Dude. That's a fucking soundtrack.
Yes. Yeah, man.
Fucking Zach Wild.
Miles Kennedy.
Oh yeah.
Miles Kennedy.
Yeah, dude. Wow. Like what a freaking range.
Miles Kennedy. Oh, yeah, totally. That was my first experience with him. That movie. So.
For real.
Sorry, not trying to get off score, but we just talk, right?
Yeah, it's good.
Absolutely. I mean, heck, Jericho has made an entire career off of being a professional musician and loving heavy metal to the point of where the actual heavy metal musicians said, you know what? Come on. And I'm not knocking Chris. Come on. We love Chris Jericho.
Oh, yeah. Okay? Chris Jericho's amazing.
But Stuck Mojo was a badass mofo band before Chris Jericho ever stepped foot. Okay. That's just a bad band. Rich Ward, bad boy. I mean, just, and much props and
chunky guitar playing right there, dude.
Mm-hmm. And I truly think that, and I respect Jericho so much for starting it out knowing that I'm not one of you guys. I'm what I do. Mm-hmm. But the more that it gained traction, I believe that Jericho, because do you know Sam Abernathy? Samson?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's the front of the house guy, all that.
Mm-hmm.
Talking to him about conversations, Jericho, from what he tells me, is a ultimate showman, because truly, like, when it's done, same thing. It's off. We're normal dudes. We're hanging out. We're doing a thing, right? Even more prevalent when they were coming up, because it really took him to look at the band and go, wow, this is starting to go a little bit faster than what we may have anticipated, right? Like, we got a real deal here. We got a real band. Things are really happening. Took him having to take a step back and go, you guys tell me how to do this. I'm not a rock and roller. I'm not a musician. I'm a professional wrestler who thought it'd be fun to sing with a rock band, and lo and behold, they're kind of doing something. Mm-hmm. And he's admitted to that. Even as egotistical as the Ayatollah rock and roll is, and we love him for it. He sincerely, honestly, he will tell anybody. He sat back and he learned what it was like to be a part of that, or that world, the music world. So. Mm-hmm. I have much respect to that.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. I mean, dude, Jericho has done a lot of great things, man.
Yeah.
Like it's with music too. I mean, like they came out with their last album, man. I think it was like in the top 10.
Yep. Yep.
And
No joke, man.
that's
I mean,
crazy.
it's sincere. It's legit.
That's not yeah, that's not a joke anymore
Right.
at that point.
Right.
You know, I mean, not that it was. I mean, really, but
Well, you know, I
so,
mean,
you know, a lot of wrestling fans are very cynical, and they're like, "Oh, well, you know, you're just doing that as a vanity gig."
well, when he came
You know,
out, I
but
mean, when
it was the covers and stuff like that.
remember,
But,
remember his name was Mongoose McQueen.
yeah, I know.
I thought that's cool. Okay.
Oh, Jericho.
Yeah, but then that's what I loved about it, is that he went from that evolution of we're going to be a funny, ha ha, have fun, to where people are taking us serious. I think we need to take it serious, so I need to learn how to be serious.
Mm-hmm.
And he sat back and let the musicians, I'll show you what I know as far as entertainment on my end, what it is to promote, to be a front man, to be a mic man, to be, you show me how it is to be a sincere professional, musician, how to keep myself conditioned, how to keep my voice in shape, how to prepare for shows, and even on top of that, when you got your wrestling schedule, I mean,
That's
man,
impossible.
Yeah, dude. I mean,
Like,
much props to Chris Jericho.
Yeah,
I mean, he's mid 50s.
at least.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
So-
dude, and still putting on like crazy good matches. Like,
Absolutely.
that match with him and Will Ospreay, man,
Right. Yes.
dude.
Yes. I was
And he had one with Tenochtitl Takeshita not too long ago
Yep.
too. That was a banger. Man.
Yep. Holding it up, man. I mean,
That
just
was
delivers.
Still good
Yep. If you've read his
on
book,
a high level.
Lion's Tale,
No, I haven't. I haven't read any of his books actually. I need to.
I'll bring you a copy. I got it. Great
Cool.
read.
Yeah,
Great read.
dude.
Because he studied going to college. He studied Comp, which is creative compositions.
Mhm.
And he studied being on the radio and creative writing and all these things. So reading his book is very entertaining because of the way he writes it, and he takes you through the story. Like, he was 22 years old down in Mexico and making bank, because back in 92, 93, before things went downhill with the peso, and I mean, and you got to think, you're 22 years old. I mean, living in a foreign country by yourself, doing your thing, you got to cash, I mean, just you making money. It's a whole nother mindset to, to adjust to, and then to survive, and that's another thing about these, like we talk about these wrestlers that have not. Chris Jericho has survived. He's been around all of it, been a part of all of it, been friends with all of it.
He's literally the last
survived.
He's probably the last wrestler that worked in an actual territory.
Yes. Yep.
Like, well, that's not named Sting.
That's not named Sting, right? Right.
But that's
Mysterio.
Oh, that's true.
Mysterio did
Mysterio
that.
would have done that.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep. But Mysterio and Jericho. Yeah.
So yeah, what when you were a kid, like, what was your favorite pay-per-view, or what's your favorite pay-per-view now?
I don't really know. I'll admit, I don't really have one now.
Okay.
It's always WrestleMania.
Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah. No, it's it's always the best matches of the year. I mean, it's a go-to.
I like every year, doesn't matter. I like going back, if it's October, and I go back and I rewatch all the Fall Brawls and Halloween Havocs, right?
Yes.
Thanksgiving, I'm watching SummerSlams. I'm watching all of them. Gets around December, I start getting the Starcades. Even though it started out as a Thanksgiving night thing, I still, that's my Starcade. But growing up, I can honestly say my favorite pay-per-view that I just, I was ready for, and I know this sounds crazy, and just because of some of the things that I can tie into it, it's SummerSlam.
Okay.
Because I just, as a kid, there's key moments.
Sure. Yeah.
I remember
the great SummerSlams when we were growing up.
I remember the Mega Powers versus the Mega Bucks.
Yeah.
Right. 89. I remember the steel cage match with Hogan, Brutus, Zeus, and Macho. That was a big one right there. 1990. Tugboat. That was your first SummerSlam without Hogan being the champion. Because Warrior had taken it at WrestleMania that year.
Oh yeah.
A lot of things that go down at SummerSlam. Right. Just funny matches, seeing the first time the Undertaker versus Undertaker.
Oh god.
I mean, it wasn't the best.
How did that close the night and not Brett versus Owen in a cage match? Like that, I'll never get that.
That's yep.
But hey, Undertaker versus Undertaker was a whole other level,
right?
But yeah.
Right. And then
Sorry,
you got
go ahead.
No, absolutely, because you had that, and then you had the 92 over in Wembley.
Yeah.
You had the Hitman versus Bulldog.
Yeah, speaking of funny matches, the casket match between Kamala and Undertaker.
Yeah.
Yeah, where Kamala was just was not having none of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's the funny
Man.
thing. Yes, casket matches are the very live matches. God, there's so many backstories on those things. But yes, SummerSlam was my favorite pay-per-view growing up. It's just something I was like, all right, this is this. I guess summertime. I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
but I dug
That's
that.
cool, man.
Yeah, my favorite now is always
Hey.
WrestleMania. I love WrestleMania weekend and getting ready and getting pumped up. And even if I'm not necessarily into the show or the matches, just the feel. It's
Yeah.
WrestleMania. You know?
Yeah, man. You can't beat it, dude.
You know?
Yeah, man. Like my favorite pay per view was always the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
It was
Okay.
always the Royal Rumble, and it still is. Because it's just a fun match. Like there's so much stuff, and like what you were saying too was like there's a lot of things I can pinpoint. In 89, Warrior and Hogan come face to face for the first time, and it sets up, and the ultimate challenge at WrestleMania 6, and God, there's so many other ones like Ric Flair in '92.
Yep, going the
coming in,
whole,
yeah.
they're on the distance, baby.
Dude,
I
I
mean,
loved
that was an incredible
And
performance.
Bobby
in itself.
Heenan's commentary on it.
Yes, yes.
Like, it's a skirt. It's
Yeah.
not a kilt.
It's not a kilt. With a tear in my eye.
Oh man.
Loved it. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
So good.
Yep.
And there's so many great moments from the Rumbles.
I remember, and it's so funny, the Rumble, it didn't start out, people like, they don't realize the Rumble, it didn't start out as a big thing because the first
one was on the USA.
Right, and the first winner was Jim Duggan.
Hacksaw.
That's
Yeah.
right, Hacksaw Jim Duggan. And the first time it was on pay-per-view was '89, and that was Big John Studd. So it took a minute to kind of get its footing, but yeah, it has garnered, and then because that's the official beginning of WrestleMania season.
You're right.
I mean,
Yeah, and then like since then, man, I think the first time that the winner of WrestleMania went, or the winner of the Rumble went to WrestleMania. The main event was in '93 when Yokozuna won.
Yep.
And then it sets up that what we were talking about earlier.
I think one of the cooler Royal Rumbles, and I know a lot of people kind of look down on it, is the year that they were in San Antonio.
Okay.
And they were there, and they had a lot of the Lucha Libre stars, a lot of the Mexican luchadors.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool, working that into the aesthetic and the demographic.
Sure. I think like Mil Mascaras was in the Rumble.
Absolutely.
There was a bunch of those people, man. I want to say it was the main event that night, I think, was Sid versus Shawn.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's when
97.
97. That's right. That's right.
Oh man, I was so pissed off at the end of that one. God. It's Hitman won, damn it.
Yeah, I know. Oh, I know.
He fucking won.
And I give him props though, because there's like, what is it? That one and another one.
It's great though. It's good stuff.
It was Batista and John Cena.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the one where Vince blew out his quads because he was so pissed.
Only Vince McMahon.
But I got to give it to him, man. That's some timing, dude.
Yeah.
And that first one was all Hitman. I mean, that's everybody tell you that was Brett making sure that everything that.
In fact, I got to talk to Lex one time for like about 15 minutes on the phone, and like that was the first thing I asked him. I was like, "What happened in Royal Rumble 1994?"
Right.
And he was like, "Man, Brett just told me to trust him, and like he grabs me by the waist and we go over."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Just trust me, I'll get us there."
Yep.
And sure enough, he's like, "Man, you show those camera angles just like I did. Can't tell."
Yep. I was watching one today. It was War Games.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
God, you talk about some great matches there.
This was the one where the infamous one, I think it was 91, 92, but it's the one where the thing was the ceiling was so low that Sid Vicious goes to power bomb.
Yeah,
the feet get caught and he's
brutal, dude.
Horrible. And then he does it again, and I'm like, "Why you did it?
The first
right? This ain't gonna work, man. What are you doing?" and I can just you can almost see a little bit of that look in Brian Pillman's eyes, like, "What are we doing?"
Like,
it didn't work,
big dumb idiot.
But they showed how Barry Windham had done a blade job during that match. The art of pro wrestling is shown in this segment, and this literally, you see he's cupping somebody's, it's a close fist, so he's cupping it, and he sees he's a little bit pulled back because he can't use the hand, but all of a sudden he gets thrown into the cage, he takes a bump, he rolls over once, rolls over twice, and within that roll over twice, he takes that blade and just snips, right, does his thing, zips it. By the time Brian Pillman picks it back up, timing is everything, throws him back into the cage, doom, 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 doom. When he pulls that head off, he's just covered in blood. That is an art form.
It really is.
To where you're not,
It's incredible.
Right. We wouldn't
really
have known
is.
about it had they not had slowed it down and going, this is where it happens, because it happens so fast.
Mm-hmm.
You know, those are the things I love about wrestling.
And yeah, like some of those crazy. Oh yeah.
I just where'd that
Like,
happen? That's the magic, man.
Yeah, it really is, dude.
When the blood's fake, it's not fake.
No,
it's not fake.
No, it's not.
No. Never has been. It's real. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Well, except for the one. If you look online, they got the one with Manny Fernandez down in Puerto Rico. Have you seen this one?
No.
The Invader #3.
No, I
All
don't
right.
think so.
Yeah, check this out. All right. So, shortly after Brody was murdered in Puerto Rico, the storyline was that Manny Fernandez was coming down and he was going to get revenge for this thing. You know, this use this real life murder as a wrestling storyline.
It's classy.
Gotta bless 80s wrestling. Yeah, hey, there's no boundaries here. Let's put it in there. So he goes back down to Puerto Rico, and Invader 1 was the one that actually was involved with the Bruiser Brody situation, but Invader #3 was who Manny Fernandez was facing. He comes off the top rope with an elbow or a knee to the Invader 3's stomach. All of a sudden, Invader 3, through his mask, just profusely bleeding.
Oh wow.
To see the footage, you're going, what?
Yeah, you think something's really wrong, right?
You find out later that the gimmick is that he took he drank a good bit of vodka and pig blood.
What?
Yeah. So he drank a good bit of vodka and pig blood, ingested it. So when they're out there sweating, and when that time came and he jumped and he put that knee on that belly, it was just instantaneous, and it just came up, right? I mean, it was perfect timing per se, but everybody was like, Manny Fernandez has done ruptured his stomach. He's spitting. I mean, because of the way it looked, but it was vodka and pig blood, you know, the gimmick in itself. You know, so look that up, dude, because those are one of those matches I'm looking, I'm going, and yeah, so that's why I love professional wrestling.
Yeah, you do. You gotta love it.
It's all
Where else can you
scripted.
get vodka and pig blood?
Yeah, right. It's all scripted, y'all.
Yeah, man. It's
predetermined.
man. They know how to fall.
It's fine. Right.
Oh man, it's fine. You know, Mick Foley's okay.
Oh God. So yeah.
So yeah. Speaking of like crazy matches,
Yes.
I mean, is that or is that not the craziest match?
Okay.
It's got to be.
It's up there. It's up there. It's up there. Craziest match though. It's funny you brought that up. Stan Hansen and Vader.
Oh my God, I know exactly what you're in Japan.
The eye.
Yeah.
That's the craziest. That's craziest. I mean, because he kept going.
I know.
We've seen
you see Vader like literally put it back in, and you're just like, what the hell is the matter with you people?
That's when I knew. Okay, we've seen matches where people get hurt. You got the Psycho Sid match where he busts that. You know, he busts his cab jumping off the top rope.
Oh God, I know. Yeah, Scott. Yeah.
Yeah, we've seen some nasty ones, right?
Sure.
But they all stopped. Like the matches were stopped. That was the first time, and probably one of the only times that I've literally seen that worse of a physical injury. And
yeah,
go,
gotta go.
Just go. We're making
the clock
again. We're making money. It's Japan. They love it. Go. You know, that was one of the craziest ones.
Bonus.
Yeah, or then the one where Terry Funk. It was Terry Funk. I can't remember. I have to look it up.
One like King of the Death match.
Yeah, where they lit the thing on fire and it got so out of hand because they put too much.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, dude, those matches are insane.
Insane.
Yeah, like you're
going a little bit. I mean, I love wrestling, but that goes a little bit past the point. Now you're
on the verge of murder.
Yeah. Totally.
I'm sorry. Like you were taking your life into your own hands at that point.
Willingly.
Like, yeah. And you see all these and there's worse. I mean, not worse than that probably, but I saw these what Jim Cornette would refer to as a mud show wrestling event. Yeah, with people like literally weed eaters.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like the tube
lights, man.
I'm just like, dude, this is garbage.
That's what it is.
Like,
garbage wrestling.
Yeah,
I mean,
it really is. I'm sorry, but no, I think there is a way to mix it in and make it good though. Like there really is. To me, but I think people go way too far, and like that's just,
It's almost like, like when we talk about films, it's almost like gratuitous. There's no point in it. You're putting it in there for the shock factor, just to shock.
Yeah.
When it comes to entertainment, I'm all for shocking and being entertaining and hey, but when you're taking people's lives into your own hand for $50. No, dude,
No,
that's not
no, and jumping off of like a
not cool. That
scaffold
makes that
and shit, like onto like this little table
It doesn't
for
make no
this dude.
sense.
Yeah, it
None.
don't.
And
It
it
don't.
doesn't impress me. And I don't go, oh man, that's you got some
Like,
talent. No, you're
wish
an
I was that
idiot.
guy.
You're an idiot.
Yeah, I know exactly, dude.
Just like
Like,
my daddy used to
you a
tell me, you
dumbass.
son are an idiot. I mean, and he would say with as much love and sincere, I'm trying to tell you this so you will pay attention to what I'm saying. That
Yeah.
type, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Some of these folks, good lord.
Yeah, I can't imagine. Like I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. So like when you do finally get something to where, I mean, to me, like I was saying, where you can meet the line at least
Yeah.
at like, Hell in a Cells
Yes.
and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Like with the Mick Foley and the Undertaker, I think that's the perfect line without going over.
Yeah. But
even though he almost died. I ain't
But
gonna lie.
but you had, and I'm not saying by no means am I putting a price tag on one's life, but you had an arena full of people.
Yeah, I know.
You didn't have 20 folks.
You're on pay-per-view.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. You're gonna
King
get
of the
paid.
Ring,
You're
man.
gonna get paid for what you're about to do, and you probably gonna get paid a good. And he did. I mean, he'll admit, I didn't do it. I mean, he did it because he wanted to be who he was, but he also understood that I'm doing this because I'm about to get paid from my family. I mean, and he says in that interview, this is gonna be my last match. I knew it. Right? I mean, he was like, Lords of London. I get,
Yeah.
let's go. I'm not gonna wrestle again. It doesn't matter.
Mm.
So, yeah, those are some of the crazier ones, But I'm like you. I like the people who are professional.
Mhm.
I don't need the garbage. I don't need you just being crazy just for the sake of being crazy. There's still an art form to it.
Oh yeah. And another, even though I'll keep on bringing up Mick Foley here, I know there's other hardcore wrestlers that have
But
done.
Mick Foley's Mick Foley.
I mean, to me, he was the best at it.
Absolutely.
I mean, but that match he had with Randy Orton at Backlash,
Yeah,
was phenomenal.
yeah. And I give him
telling a story and like making someone come out of that on the better end.
right.
Like it's great.
And speaking of Royal Rumble, the one he had in 2000 with Triple H, that no hold barred, it was Cactus Jack. That was awesome. That was awesome. That not only
great match.
Yeah, that not only allowed Mick Foley to be Mick Foley, but that allowed Triple H to go beyond the like he's a bad guy, but he was always prim and proper. I mean, that really showed people that Triple H can get down and dirty too if necessary.
Oh yeah,
hold his own. He did. He took an ass whooping.
Oh dude, yeah. Did you see that? There's a picture. I'll try to bring it up if I can, but there's I watched the interview or like a kind of a mini doc on that one, and he had like a piece of that pallet in his leg in his calf.
Yeah.
Like for like half the match.
Yep. Jabbed in it, dude. Yep.
And just kept going.
Yep.
I mean, like, dude, the mental toughness that you have to be a professional wrestler
absolutely
is beyond any other sport imaginable.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of these guys, I mean, it goes back to they may not have been the greatest amateur wrestlers, but majority of them have a background in it. And amateur wrestling, I did it for 1 year. I love athletics, but amateur wrestling was the one thing that I kind of looked at and went, I don't know. I might not be cut out for this one. That's 6 of the longest minutes of your life. And it is a whole nother mindset and approach to competition. For sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, man, I know those favorite pay-per-views. I mean, we talked about favorite pay-per-views, talked about favorite wrestlers. What would be your top 3 favorite matches? We were kind of referencing that earlier. As I got my 3, I know you got 3, so I'm curious to see what you got.
All right, top 3. Let's see. I'm gonna start top 3. We're gonna start with one of the probably most influential as far as like opening my eyes. Like, wow, this is something different. That would be the it's not Saturday night's main event. It's the main event from 1988. And that was Hogan and Andre. And it was the one where they had the double referees come out.
Yeah, the double Ebners.
Yeah, the dastardly $1 million man had paid a referee to go get plastic surgery, and that right there was the first one I thought this is something different. I mean, because I'd been watching the wrestling, but boy, that's not normal.
No,
that caught my attention.
That's very unique.
It was. I thought that's okay. That's going a little bit above and beyond. If this is fake, man, they are paying some money.
Yeah.
So that was number 3.
That was a damn good little twist. Right there,
man, it changed a lot of things.
It sets up all WrestleMania 4, like the tournament thing. It's brilliant, man.
Absolutely, and
absolutely brilliant.
Great WrestleMania too. A lot of people don't like 4. I like 4.
I love 4.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Savage and
Yep.
DiBiase at the end.
And I got the visual as I'm coming down that gold carpet.
Yes.
Down that, yeah.
Trump.
Yep.
Plaza.
Trump Plaza. That's right.
Yeah.
So that was number 3. Number 2.
All right.
So many of them. But
Yeah.
number 2, I'm gonna because I'm gonna go ahead and say number 2 is going to be WrestleMania 10. It's going to be Bret Hart and Owen Hart because that was, I thought, those are the 2 best wrestlers I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, dude, it's hard not to.
From start
it's
to finish.
still, to me, to this day, the best opening match at WrestleMania.
And then that Bret loses.
I know.
I mean, that's that's awesome. That's storytelling. That's just it's perfect. It's damn near perfect. And then it goes on to the end of the night. He wins the championship, right? But that match, WrestleMania 10, Bret Hart, Owen Hart. Yep. Because I remember the gold ropes, the golden and the black ropes, all that stuff.
Oh, dude.
And that was also, they had the ladder match between Razor Ramon and Shawn Michaels.
Sure did.
But number 1.
Great mania.
Number 1 is not even a single match.
Uh-oh.
Oh, wow. Maybe it is. No, I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I'm gonna give honorable mention simply because it needs to be, and that's WrestleMania 3, Ricky Steamboat and Macho Man Randy Savage.
Sure.
Probably one of the greatest matches of all time. Again, just right there. I mean, and
that showed where it was going.
Yeah,
man.
and the backstory.
Really
the backstory was they'll tell you that Macho Man was so meticulous. I mean, they went over that match over and over and over. I mean, Steamboat went down to Florida to Macho's home, and it's perfect. I mean, really perfection. So right there, honorable mention. But my number 1 match, and it's not even a single match; it's a trio, and it's Ricky Steamboat and Ric Flair.
Yeah, dude.
Every one of them, every
trilogy,
single one of them, masterpieces.
Yep.
I mean,
I agree.
That's but that's because you got 2 just legends, and they're at the top of their game, and they're telling stories, and they're just, I mean, it's so fluid and flawless and everything. I mean, it's
really incredible.
I think that was the one that made me fell in love. Yeah, that's when I fell in. Like, I enjoyed wrestling. I was a fan of wrestling, but watching that trilogy play out, I fell in love with wrestling because I watched 2 men it's beautiful. I don't care I mean, that's the way I describe it. It's beautiful watching them, the way that they interacted, and the way the matches went, and following the story. And yeah, man. So that's my number 1 is the trilogy. Yeah.
Oh, wow.